Welcome to the club. I think that now most people introduce each other Paras. So now we are in your hands. I want you to share whatever you want to share, whatever you want people to know about you, and you can jump into the session.
Sure. Thank you, Damien, and namaste, and good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everybody. I'm Paris, and I'm a coach supervisor from ESI EMCC, and I'm fortunate to learn with Damien 2 years ago. I'm also a practicing transaction analysis. I've been studying for the last 6 years, and I've been in the space of mental health, being a coach, a counselor, psychotherapist. And in the last 5.5 years, I've been an ACTP trainer with an organization in India, which is a global organization providing coach training programs. And I'm fortunate to be a part of this group, and I'm looking forward to learn with you and share today some concepts that we can explore in a space of supervision. And I found this theory, transaction analysis, very powerful to work with people. And I'm also going to be sharing my perspective. It's absolutely up to you how you look at these concepts. And if there are any questions, feel free to ask me at any point of time. Just to check with all of you here, is this something that I can be mindful when I'm doing this training program or sharing my perspective of transaction analysis? Is there something that I can be mindful? Just put that on the chat, or maybe you can raise your hands anytime and ask me, so that we can have a lot of protection and permission to while doing this program. If there is any discomfort at any point of time, feel free to connect and share as well. So anything that you would like to ask me before I could go ahead with this presentation that I have for you? I see a lot of curiosity, so let me jump in the presentation that I have for you. Is the screen visible to everyone?
Yes, we can see it well.
Okay, thank you so much. So a little bit about Eric Berne. Eric Berne is the founder of the theory transaction analysis, and it became a very popular theory in the West. And no matter in the Asian context, there's a lot of patriarchy and matriarchy systems. But when I started learning 6 years ago, and I learned that TA was just there for the last 10 years, 12 years in India, but not progressing enough. So I wanted to have a dream of spreading transaction analysis in different spaces, in training, coaching, supervision. And the most interesting thing that I love about the philosophy of TA is people are okay. There's a presupposition that people are okay. Everyone has the capacity to think, and people decide their own destiny. And these decisions can be changed. That means there is a choice. We can always explore back what we want. And there are a few assumptions that the two principles of TA falls into contractual method. That's the reason it intrigues me when I work in the space of supervision and open communication. And a little technical thing, there are 3 schools in TA. There are many more, but these are the basic foundational one is cathexis, classical, and redecisions, with 4 specializations. If anybody wants to do some further studies, is education, organization, counseling, and psychotherapy. Now, Eric Berne defined the ego state as a consistent pattern of feelings and experiences directly related to the corresponding consistent pattern of behaviors. Now, to give you a simple concept understanding, what I could relate is, if there is a cupboard behind me, there are 3 parts in the cupboard. And maybe my partner comes in and says that, hey, Boris, can I touch this part of the cupboard? It's really nice. And I say, okay, you can do a little bit work here. Absolutely. This covers a lot of my stuff which I require in my day-to-day life. But please mind you, do not touch anything on the top. And the person says that, okay, so Paris, what is there in the top? What exactly that you do not even want me to touch or even talk about it? Those are some sort of my values and beliefs, or value systems that I carry, and which I do not want to be questioned, which I want to believe it to be true, which I have swallowed without chewing. So these are certain beliefs or behaviors that I've copied from my system, my family system, and I believe it to be true. And I don't question that much, or I don't question that. But at the bottom of that cupboard is something which is more about a lot of toys, a lot of memories, a lot of emotions, a lot of photographs of my childhood. And it's very interesting. There's a lot of fun. At the same time, there are good memories and not okay memories as well. So this cupboard is like a metaphoric of these three ego states, which is called as parent, adult, and child. A parent ego state consists of behaviors, thoughts, and feelings copied from parents or parental figures. Now, I'll be sharing this theory with you, and then I will connect it back to our supervision process. So if there are any questions, feel free to ask me at any point of time. So, so every human being operates from three ego states. And these three ego states, parent, adult, and child, can fluctuate at any point of time based on how the person perceives the external reality and how the person perceives and processes things inside. While the adult ego states are things that we tend to question, we tend to explore, we tend to ask more and more exploratory question that what makes me do that right now, or what is happening to me right away. While the child ego state consists of behavior, thoughts, and feelings that are replayed from childhood. That means if there are certain emotions or memories that, or there are certain childhood strategies that I played or I did in my early childhood, is which makes me go back again and say, hey, this is where I come from. Suddenly, if I feel I'm unhappy or uncomfortable, I need to explore in what ego state is emerging for me. Now I'm going to take you through a short video just to endorse this concept.
In transactional analysis. What are ego states in transactional analysis? Eric Byrne demystified personality.
We are not seeing the video. I think you need to stop. You need to stop. You need to stop showing this, and then you need to look for the video, and then you need to stop.
Okay.
And when you share the video, be sure that you put for sound. There is a choice to have a good sound.
Is this visible?
Yes.
Okay.
Shall I be sure that you also check, for sound, so we can hear it well?
Transactional analysis.
Is this visible and audible for everyone?
It's visible, but the sound is not good. You need to, there is a choice in the top where you can, do you know how to do that for sound? When you, to optimize, when you choose the window, there are a couple of places to optimize sound so we can hear well. We were able to see it, but the sound was not good because you need to optimize the sound.
Okay.
So look at the window, and when you have the window to choose, that window, you will see that there are two small squares in the bottom. Can you see that?
Yes, it's a mini player, cinema mode, full mode. Is that one?
If the one that says optimized for sound.
Okay. I lost that video. Just give me.
Are you somebody who's...
Okay, let's do it without that and see how we can hear it. Let's see.
Okay, I have the copy of that video in a separate document as well. So I'll just play that.
So, Paras, we were able to see that before. So you want to show what you were showing before? Go ahead.
Yes, yes. Just sharing that.
So, para somebody is asking if, Scott is asking if we can share the slides. Are you comfortable sharing the slides later?
Yes, yes, I'll be sharing the slides as well. Yeah. Okay. Is this visible to everyone?
What are ego states in
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
that's good.
And the voice volume as well?
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
Transactional analysis. Eric Berne demystified personalities for us in 1958 with his transactional analysis model. Find out more about TA with Dr. Peral's TA for non-TA series. This is the first of the series. Transactional analysis shows us how people are structured psychologically. Ever wondered how and why people function the way they do? Ever wondered what makes you behave the way you do? What is it that makes you who you truly are? Transactional analysis takes a closer look at personalities and the way people express themselves through their behavior styles. Indeed, TA is now the most powerful tool used for many training and communication development purposes. Isn't it a wonder how TA improves communication to such a great extent? We'll decode this for you. In this video, we'll take a look at the ego states of TA. Ever observed the way you've behaved and reacted in a single day? Let's take any day, for example. Maybe someone stressed you out, perhaps a colleague at work, and you reacted with anger. Maybe you said a couple of unnecessary things. You may have even changed your mind later and let things go. You shook hands with a smile to work towards a common professional goal. Yet, you found yourself sulking a bit for the whole weekend, feeling bad over the misunderstandings. Have you ever felt the way you behave, think, and respond may resonate with your parents or parental figures? Or maybe a younger version of you? Or do you feel you could have handled the situation differently by using the available resources around you? Why do you behave the way you do? The ego state model of TA helps you understand exactly what's happening to you. It brings you closer to knowing personalities and decoding the best communication methods. Definition of ego states. Eric Berne defined an ego state as a consistent pattern of feeling and experience directly related to a corresponding consistent pattern of behavior. Eric Berne describes a person to display three ego states. Communication happens via one or all of these three states. These states consist of our behaviors, thoughts, and feelings, values, beliefs, culture, and life rules. The TA practice defines three states in which we operate: parent ego state, adult ego state, child ego state. This PAC model aptly displays the shifts of our ego states. In our earlier example, we noticed you shouted at the colleague. Maybe you reprimanded them using a parent ego state, one where you disapproved their style of working. Your sulking is a reflection of the child ego state, and the one where you decided to let things go consciously to resume work in a healthy spirit is your adult ego state. With a lack of adult awareness, you may not have been conscious of the shifting ego states. That's what ego states are. Berne says that each ego state is defined by a combination of feelings and experiences which consistently occur together. Here's the definition. Parent ego state. The behaviors in this ego state represent behaviors, thoughts, and feelings that are copied from parents or parent figures. Adult ego state. These are behaviors, thoughts, and feelings which are direct responses to the here and now. Child ego state. These are behaviors, thoughts, and feelings replayed from childhood. Understanding the ego state model allows you to check your behaviors, feelings, and experiences while understanding your connection with others. Sounds complex? Let's make it easy for you. The parent ego state is one where you're influenced by the voices inside your head, and these voices belong to your parents, grandparents, or teachers. Sometimes you speak like a parent by saying, you shouldn't do this, or this is not appropriate. It's all about the don'ts, mustn'ts, always remember, and never forget. If you feel you've replayed a certain behavior and felt familiar feelings as you did when you were a child, you might be displaying the child ego state. You might have felt butterflies in your tummy at a public speaking event, just as you did when you were asked to address a class in school. Boy, wasn't that event scary. These thoughts are replayed even now. But if you feel you've dealt with a situation in a grown-up way using your thoughts and feelings to display behavior in tandem with the present moment to determine your course of action, then you're in the adult ego state. What's interesting is that we need all our three states for a balanced life. We need adult ego state to enable us for better decision-making skills. We need the parent ego state to live peacefully in the society by conforming to basic rules. And we need the child ego state to keep that spark of creativity and spontaneity alive. That's what makes you as a person. Understanding the ego states gives you the power to understand and be understood in every situation. You give yourself the choice to respond better to situations while comprehending information easily. You not only turn into an effective communicator, but you also build empowering connections for life. Love the concept? Subscribe to our channel for the next chapter in the team behavior.
All right, I'm going to take a pause here. I'm going to ask everybody if, what have you really picked up for yourself? What have you really taken from this video that you thought? Maybe you can put that on the chat. Some of them would like to just jump in. What is this theory telling you? Or what is something that you felt from this theory was maybe a question for you? Maybe I'm just keeping this conversation open for the next, say, about 3 to 5 minutes, and then I'll take you through some other concepts as well and explain the application in the supervision process from my perspective. Okay, so many subconscious dynamics happening in me and my relationships. Yeah. Anyone else would like to share as well what's going on in your space when we talk about the parent ego, child ego, adult ego? I'll give you one of my examples. Way back, I went for a supervision. That was when I was doing a lot of work in other space apart from coaching. But though I was doing coaching before even getting credentialed by any of the certifying bodies, and I went to my supervisor and told that my client comes in late, okay, almost 10 to 15 minutes. And this client is a CEO and a very senior person in the industry, and and I don't say anything, and I feel very uncomfortable inside. I want to inform my client that, okay, that you clock for a certain time. You need to make sure that you make it up, or maybe explore what's going on. Do we need to reschedule or something? And I used to always end up not talking but sulking inside. And in my supervision that took place was very interesting for me to even I remember now in my reflections and reflective practices that how I was intrigued by one of the values that I was holding in the Asian culture or in the Indian culture was about respect people. So that was one of the values that I was holding, of respecting people and not to question people. So when you're respecting, don't question, just be with the flow, just don't go there. And that part of me was an internal voice from my parent or parental ego state coming in, that you always should respect people, should not go and question and challenge. And the child in me was adhering to that voice by saying, okay, I will not do that. But there's a part of me was struggling that, okay, I need to challenge it. And if this something that took place in your life in some context, it's very good to explore the PAC model to understand what is that at the intrapsyche level or in your internal system that you're experiencing. And, and very beautifully, when my supervisor asked me that, Paris, what would happen? How would you like to define respect for you? Okay, and what would you like to challenge about this respect? And that's where I was able to bring my adult awareness and chew that or reflect on a little longer about my culture, my systems, what I'm experiencing, what are certain values, not only learned from my family system, but also from my community and from my cultural system. And eventually it helped me to um, unlearn a little bit about my way, and I started communicating with my client. So that was one of the supervision process I feel even today is very interesting, where because I could question some part of me which for almost 30 years or 31 years and never did that. So PAC model is one of the interesting tools that we can use in supervision because this model is visible, it is observable. Like we look back to the similar model in Freudian's theory of id, ego, and superego. Id is the basic instinct of what we want to feel. I want to do something like an animal kingdom. I just want to jump in and have something. So without even worried about the societal and external space. While superego is something a lot about the shoulds and musts one should do or one should not do. And ego is the balance between the two. But the id, ego, and superego theory is not visible. It's a very intrapsychic process, while the Eric Berne theory is much more visible. As a supervisor, as a supervisee, we can actually explore in what's happening between each other or between me and my clients. Like what ego states am I experiencing when my client comes in? The moment I saw this batch completely for a minute, I was having all my ego states dancing for the first 10 minutes, like, oh, how is going to be this session? After a long time, I'm meeting back in this particular supervision group. Will I be able to do great or not? There's another voice coming in that don't worry, just go ahead with that. And that whole experience that I was experiencing was I talk about all my ego states are talking and talking to each other, and we are managing that space. So I'm just gonna, okay, there's a lot of interesting context coming in. So Jenny says that I can relate all three ego states across my life in a resourceful and sometimes a not so resourceful way. And when I'm not in a resourceful state and aware of it, what state I want to step into, either the child to have fun, make light of things, adult, work through things in a calm, wise way, and parent, depending on the situation, step into that role too. And I love bringing this model into supervision session as well as support clients. Yeah, thank you. Thank you once again, Jenny. Well, Suni says, how do you assist a client who has ego states that are dominant and that is becoming aware of both the child and the parent ego states? Need for belonging and severe judgmental tendency. Yeah. So, Suni, is this a question from a client or is it a question from a supervisee? Which role is that?
It's the client.
Is the client. Okay, thank you. So I think so I'm just going to share my perspective, Sunny. It's going to be purely what I feel. Maybe there's always a polarity for me. Okay, that means like a client of mine who used to come across with a very be strong driver. Driver is something that our coping strategy. Like for example, I would say, hey, I can manage everything. I'm a strong boy. So, or a strong man. So that's be strong is one of the very potent drivers, okay, or a strategy where people tend to see their lives through. So when a client comes from some sort of a particular ego state, it's good to take a supervision and check what ego state am I coming across to my client. Okay, because I did a lot of work on that part, because sometimes I feel that that I found that my client was coming across as a very strong woman or a strong man, and almost we did 3 or 4 sessions and it was going nowhere. And I wanted to check with the client, are we okay to cancel the contract? And the client says, no, we're doing great. But when I took it for supervision, I actually realized there's a part of me, okay, which was coming across as I wanted to help the client or make the client supportive, and the client was not okay about that. So there's a lot of what we say polarity or conversation interactions that can also have an effect on the client. So maybe a good space for me, if I was there, I asked the client, that looks like we're almost done a couple of sessions and I tend to get a feeling that we're not progressing. Would you like to share where are we? Maybe that helps the client to switch any of the ego states and see. A lot of executive clients that I work with, I see that they tend to discount the child ego state, like to operate from the parent and the adult. So, and when you witness is not to challenge it, but to check in how they could connect to the 3 ego states in their space. So a lot of supervision can be supportive, because it's very context-based. So I'm just taking similar example. What I could say is, what ego state am I coming? So that makes the client to go in a particular ego state. I'm not sure whether I'm able to answer your question directly, but just maybe that's my thoughts on the same. Okay. Is there any question, what kind of ego state perceives the world through a TA conceptual grid? Okay, Peter, I didn't understand your question. Do you want to share with me? What does that mean? You're on mute, Peter.
Yeah, it's a little bit like I have a client in front of me, and sometimes it can be very helpful to notice the parental or the infantilization or the adult, and sometimes it could be that the map that we're seeing the client through becomes something that's a construct in my mind about what's happening in the client, and there's some potential loss of innocence. So my question was really like, if we're seeing the client through a TA map, what kind of ego state is that?
So I like there is an NLP presupposition which says a map is not the territory, okay? And it also talks about the kind of that is, when I was learning TA, I also felt that is TA like a parent ego state, that I have to believe it to be true, and I have to look at people from that same lens. But when I look back to the fluidity of the TA school is, or TA ego state, is to be on the observational mode rather than I'm judging a particular ego state. Like through my clients, I would ideally say I would not do that, because I can just be aware about the ego states, but I can still hold a lot of inquiry and curiosity questions to help the client to go where they want to be. But in my supervision process, I would like to probably explore in what ego state is my supervisee experiencing, because there is a little psychoeducation about the theory I can give, but not to the client, because for the client, if I'm coaching, I would probably just be an observant in terms of what is coming for them and what is growing for them. So maybe my application of TA concepts to a client in a coaching context would be very different, operating purely from an observation and asking more curious questions. But in a supervision, I may like to use that concept by doing a little psychoeducation on the theory and then probably checking with the supervisee, what are they experiencing it. Otherwise, this theory can itself become like some sort of ground rule or some sort of rule book to operate from, which had been exploring way back and contemplating, is it like is this the way of life that people have to live? Not really for me. Was that your question, Peter, or something else? Or,
yeah, it's certainly in the right direction. I mean, the question behind the question is really, in a way, is an ego state something that exists, or is it a construct? If it's a construct, how helpful is it to perceive our client through constructs?
Can I share like personal experience around that? It's like for me, it's more about looking at dynamics of relationships. So looking at not like a theory or like a model, because today we had a session, we're talking about the 7A model and how sometimes in supervision, people are like to worry about following the model. So the idea, this concept, this distinction should help us to understand the territory, the map, not the territory. So like using that metaphor, the way that I think is helpful for me, Peter, what you're asking your question, I'm thinking about, is there a possibility that there is a dynamic in the relationship that may help us to get some insight and some light in terms of how the client is relating with the stakeholders in his or her world, how the coach is relating with the client, how we as supervisors are relating with the coach. And I think it's easier for us as supervisors many times get into these parental figures, and it's easy for coaches to become in some way parental to their client. So it's about paying attention. For me, that's the way that I use this construct that you're talking. Is about, is there a possibility here that in the relationship, there is a dynamic that the people are not treating each other as adults? And I have brought this over the years to the attention to my clients, and they see that. They can see how they are not treating other people as adults, but they are becoming a child, or they are becoming the parent in the triangle. So this is the way that I have been using it. I don't know, Paras, what do you think about this? Is one of possible ways to look into this.
Yeah, so I think what I also was understanding from Peter's question is this a theory, like, is it like a construct, or is it a concept? What exactly it is? It's just, for me, it's an easy reference to, for my brain to understand what ego state is I'm experiencing in the interaction with the client and I, or in the supervisee and myself. So it's not like some sort of real existence of, it's a metaphoric display of these three, which has been categorized in a form of, for us to understand what ego states are we operating from. So this is where I could relate to Peter. Maybe you can write it to me, or I can probably have a little chat more on the same. But this is more like a metaphoric understanding about these three ego states to easily work and see what's the dynamics going between you and your client, or you and your supervisor, or even with your own self. Like, for example, after this particular session, if I want to sit across and identify what ego state was I operating from, was I preaching, was I telling, was I more operating from a space of exploratory dialogues, or was I more in the child, being more sharing my story and experiences and fun and sadness and all of that. So for me, this, I look at more from a lens of reference, or expanding your frame of reference stuff. Okay, so thank you. How much time do we have more, Damien? Do you have?
We have until the top of the hour, so we have 18 more minutes. Okay,
I want to take you through a quick video on games. That is something which is another interesting thing that we can explore in. If another 18 minutes, I'll be quick, so let me check. Okay, is there any other question? My video is it's getting downloaded because it's because there's a difficulty on the what we say on the YouTube channel to set the audio files. So Paras, when you press to share the screen, look in the window and you will see, well, no, it's too late. Okay, to improve the sound, because the sound was okay before, but was not great.
So to see
Okay.
when you will see in the window where you can choose from the different windows in your computer, you will see in the lower side, there are two small squares where you can check.
Okay, I have this with me right now.
Okay.
Eric Berne demystified personalities for us in 1958 with his transactional analysis model. Find out more about TA with Dr. Perez's TA for non-TA series. This is the fourth of the series. But before you proceed further, click the subscribe button to our channel to receive updates on the next video. Hi, I'm glad to see you back. Today, we'll learn about games in transactional analysis. Eric Berne refers to psychological games we may often play without being conscious of the process. Humans play these games with a set of predetermined rules. It's just like a game of football or chess. Sounds like fun? Well, it depends. Berne had different definitions for games that may have changed with time. One of them is, a game is an ongoing series of complementary ulterior transactions progressing to a well-defined, predictable outcome. Underneath all the simplicity, it's quite complex actually. What is a game? What are these psychological games? These ulterior transactions with a gimmick leads usually to a well-concealed but well-defined payoff. Let's check Berne in his Formula G that defines how a game goes through a sequence without our conscious understanding. Let's imagine a couple here. Both fall in love and decide to get married. The husband, named Walter, starts troubling his wife, Eva. He consumes alcohol and hardly spends time with her. He squanders all her money. Eva continues to stay with him by adjusting to his behavior. Walter keeps abusing Eva verbally, although he does want to mend his relationship with her. Thus begins the con for Walter, a gimmick he plays without knowing. Eva tries to speak with him, but to no avail. This is known as the response, where she tries to help, but knows deep down it won't work. Walter keeps rejecting her attempts to connect by thinking she's always like this. He tells Eva, don't pretend to be good. I know you don't care. The switch is pulled as Eva has run out of options. Eva feels a moment of surprise and confusion. Her confused state of mind is the cross-up. Both are sad and they collect their payoff racket feelings. One day, Eva leaves the house for good as she falls in love with another man. While Walter tries desperately to woo her back, he also gets the feeling of a loser. Look at this situation. Walter is playing the game of kick me that results in sadness, which is nothing but his payoff. He feels, oh, poor me, I always get rejected. Eva keeps repeating the same sequence by choosing men who are good to her when they first get to know her. She concludes each relation with all men are the same. So every time, Eva replays the whole situation with rejection at the end that gives her relief. She thinks, thank heavens, I'm safe this time as well, which is nothing but her payoff. We play many such games in life. Often, we create the same patterns again and again. The purpose of this video.
So I'll be pausing here and I'll be just taking this slide to all of you as we are short of time. So the Kaufman model of drama triangle consists of three aspects. It's like a Bermuda triangle, I call it as, because once you jump in, there is no way out unless you're aware about your adult space. Now, in this triangle, there are three parts. One is on the left is persecutor, on the right you see rescuer, and at the bottom you see victim. Now, this game is something that can happen, a psychological game that can happen between two or more people. Anything that happens within one person itself is called a racket. More information about these videos, I'm going to share with you a link where you can access all these videos, and there are 12 video series that we created, and you can have a look at that at any point of time. So when I look at this concept of drama triangle, is about my psychological energy. Now, many times coaches, supervisors are operating, or any other mental health workers are operating from a space or a belief that I want to help people. And there is a huge difference between supporting and helping versus smothering or rescuing. And that's where I would like to bring in to you Andy Kaufman's drama triangle, which talks about that a rescue is a position where people enter in this game or interaction by being helpful, by saying, I'm here to help you, but the help was never asked. Like a client comes to me and says that I'm very upset today, and I jump into a conclusion that my client needs help rather than coaching, I end up getting into some sort of different role, and that ends up with smoke. So rescuing is a tendency to look at the victim or the search of the victim. How can I help the victim? A victim is a place where a person discounts himself or herself and tends to look out for an external world for help. While persecutor is a character where one tends to discount others and blame others for anything. So, persecutor, rescue, and victims are the three characters in the drama triangle. So, just to give you a little heads up with an example, I had in my supervision, um, a, a supervisee stepped in and shared with me that I see a trend in me, a pattern in me that I tend to uh, feel very sorry after the client leaves the room. And when we started exploring this part of the discussion, it came out that uh, the supervisee or the coach was experiencing of need to help others by jumping into some conclusions, or so to just jump into the client space and help the client. But later on, when the client did not look for that support and rejected that support, ended up feeling like a victim and felt like, oh, I'm not doing enough very well. I'm not being a good coach or something, because I end up supporting the client, but the client is just not helping, or the client is not acknowledging that thing. And this particular pattern is like a trend. You can feel it in across in all relationships and different roles that you play in your life. What also this theory says that we have a favorite position to enter the triangle, and we have a favorite position to exit the triangle. That means I can enter in from a space of a rescuer and end up feeling like a victim. Now let's take an example. I just go with a very simple example. I meet with my friend. My friend says, I'm really very unhappy. And I feel, oh, what happened? Tell me more. And we just go with a dialogue. And then I start talking about, oh, I'm a mentor. I can definitely guide you with the steps. And I keep sharing some options. And my friend says, hey, this sounds good, but I don't think so. This will be helpful. So there is a game that starts getting played between me and my friend, is called the yes but game. The yes but game is that you give options from a space of a rescuer, and the other person starts persecuting it by saying that it's not going to work. And when you run out of these options, you actually start experiencing psychologically stressed, something in your stomach, something feeling not okay about yourself. And that's where we say that we hit a space that, oh, am I doing good enough for coaching? Am I doing good enough for mentoring? And then the friend says, okay, it's time up. I have to go now. I have to catch up a meeting. And you are there at the Starbucks feeling miserable or not okay about yourself. And that's what the position that you entered the drama triangle from a space of a persecutor, from a space of a rescuer, you end up becoming feeling like a victim. Now, explore back in your coaching experiences. What feelings do you get after the client leaves, or maybe during the time when the client says to you that, "Oh, we're not going the way I'm not sure you're asking me the right question, or we're exploring the right space." What happens to you internally? If you're feeling not okay about yourself, you can explore in this with the help of this model and check or take it back to your supervisor and see what's happening between you and your client, and check it out. How does that play out between you and your supervisor as well? So I would like to just pause here and probably check if there are any questions for me. I've been very quick because time is less. Otherwise, maybe in our future session, we can just exclusively keep only drama triangle or any particular topic and do more exercise on the same. But if there are any questions that I can address, or if you want to share something, please feel free. I'll be happy to answer them. And also, there is an access to the free certification program on TA concepts. It's actually on mental health, but I have covered all the concepts of TA, which can be very useful. That's the link here. You can access this link and register yourself, and you have a dashboard. You get access to all the 12 videos. You can keep watching it. The first 3 videos are of different topic, but the remaining are all about TA. There is also a free psychometric assessment, which is called personal growth assessment. If you would like to give it to any of your clients, you feel free to do that. Till April 14, we are running this discount code, which is 100. So this slide will be shared with you all. If there are any questions right now, please help me out, or maybe if you want to share some reflections or your thoughts, what are you taking for yourself from Drama Triangle would be also good. Just feel free. Here is a link to all of you. In case if you miss out, this PPT comes late, you can always access here. So maybe before we get close today's session, if I could know, how are you feeling at this moment with these 2 concepts that you went through? So maybe if you're able to just help me out with your feeling, or maybe a thought that's running your mind. I'd love to hear all of you, before the session closes. Maybe if you'd like to participate and share maybe 1 or 2 lines about what are you feeling, thinking about this theory and its application in space of your supervision. Okay, I'm feeling reconnected to 2 powerful ways of supporting clients. Thank you. Not heard before about entering and leaving from the triangle in different places. Applicable for coaching supervision, not for coaching. Yep. Absolutely. I never thought about my client's response to this role I might be unconsciously playing. Super relevant. Would love to have you to return for tool 1. Thank you, Kim. The rest of them, even if you would like to type in, how are you feeling? Maybe what are you experiencing in your body sensation? Could be a good space to even explore that. So I'd like to thank Damien for this wonderful opportunity, for inviting me in this program, and I'd love to connect back and see how we could explore TA in supervision. Jenny, thank you for joining and supporting me in this program today. It was lovely to have you. And also, Michael, I've been watching and reading a lot on the EMCC. Thank you for joining. It's such an honor to have you in my session. And the rest of them, Sim, it's great. We connected in Mumbai. Good to see you. And the rest of them, lovely talking to all of you. Look forward to connect and learn more from each other.
Yeah. But do you want to put your email in the chat box so people can also have access to your email and be in touch? You offer a lot of resources, and also maybe people want the PowerPoint, they may contact you for that.
Yeah, can I add the PPT? Would that be great? Or do you want me to do it right now separately? Damien?
Yeah, you can. It would be good if you put your email, so in that way you can link with people who may want to be in touch with you and learn more about transactional analysis. Thank you for all of the resources, and thank you for all of these free resources. As Kim was saying, we want more. Okay, so maybe in the future you can come back. This is you have been here a few times, and we're going to keep inviting you to join us. And also during the sessions every month, we have different speakers. I am asking anybody here who would like to present, please let me know. I know John Elvire and Andrew, you are going to be presenting later in the year. Subtu, Janine, I don't know if she's still here. Are you there? Are you still here? Because she's going to be presenting. Yes. Will you share with people what you're going to be doing next month with Marie? Kingley?
Yes, thanks, Damien. Very briefly, Marie, my business partner, and I will be presenting at the next one. And our aim is to provide more information about how to use self as instrument, and the way that we're going to do that is actually do a demonstration. So that will be potentially the majority of it, and to unpack that. So yes, our focus is on using ourself as instrument in supervision. So
thank you for accepting the invitation. And I want to invite everybody here. You are all welcome to doing workshops. Michelle, maybe we can do something together on supervision some of the work that we're doing together. Maybe we can bring it to the space later in the year.
Yeah, I'm studying detection of parallel process still.
Love that. Love that topic. I think that everybody would love that topic here too. So, Monica, please, you're welcome also. You're a very experienced supervisor. Just let me know when works for you. We always meet the last Wednesday of the month, the last Wednesday in the morning. In Australia and Asia, it's in the evening here in the US. But please let me know. And thanks everybody for being here. One more announcement. We're organizing a conference, 3-day conference, April 29, 30, and May 1st. And in these 3 days, we are going to be doing at different times purposely, so it will work for different parts of the world. So we will start early in the morning and we will finish late in the evening, each day at different time zones. So I hope that you can make it. It's very inexpensive. It's only $300 to participate in the 3 days. We are going to offer 16 CCUs for people who need to renew their credentials. And the program is really, really great. We have Peter Hawkins coming, Fiona Adamson, for people who know them from the UK. Michelle Lucas is going to be presenting, and we're trying to focus on people in the Americas originally. So we have people from like Pam McLean from the Hudson Institute, and many more people presenting. Lily and I were going to be presenting on group supervision. So we hope you can make it. We hope you can make it, and looking forward to seeing you next month. Okay.